Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
If they're not talking about you, you're not winning.
And Dale Hummel.
You need to hang out with the people who fit your future, not your past.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's your phone working today?
Well, now it's working just fine. It was not working very well Thursday.
Do you know, in hindsight, how much entertainment value I gained from you not having access?
You didn't even know. I'm the one that told you. No, and I said
in hindsight, I told you it was enjoyable.
See, actually,
I wish I would have known.
Actually, I did not have a problem because I had Wi-Fi. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. Now, I do have to tell a funny story, and I can't say all the things, but we were at...
Yeah, just say it. It's okay.
No, can't. We were at the San Antonio Stock Show, and Kelly was with me, and so we're getting ready to go to the show that morning. And she walks in, she's got this terrible look on her face, and I'm like, did your dog die? Anyway, I said, my phone has no service. And I said, well, what do you mean it has no service? And so she shows me, and it says SOS on the top. I said, did your chip get stolen out of your phone from the bar last night? Because that's exactly what happened to me in Louisville. When they stole my chip, it's like, this one doesn't have one. I was like, well, I don't know. And anyway, I said, well, hold on a second. So I go and look mine the same way. I said, Kelly, it's mine in that way too. I'm getting on Fox. And then Fox says that there's been a cyber attack and the whole South is out, all this other stuff. So anyway, she feels better. We get in the car, and she's still kind of like, I said,
wait, time out. You're going to feel better after you know there's a cyber attack this time.
Yes. Would you let me finish the story? And so, anyway.
This is terrible.
And so, she's still like, Kelly, what is wrong? She's like, I'm going to say something you're going to think I'm really dumb. I said, okay, what? Well, anyway, she's having an issue with a certain someone, and she says, I thought that person hacked my phone and I had no phone service, but then now it's everybody, and so I feel better.
Oh my. And you are aware. Would you tell our listeners what happened? Who hacked the whole system?
Oh, I'm sure it was China.
The entire system.
I'm sure it was China, but
you want to know what you want to know what John Kirby said?
You're missing the point. I thought it was very funny that Callie actually thought she was dealing with someone that could hack her phone. But anyway, next.
Well, she might have been.
Oh, whatever. Uh-huh.
It could have been the Chinese. You don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't say who she was dealing with.
I
It could have
can't.
been somebody way up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe.
You know how angry I am that the White House and John Kirby come out and say, "Oh, we're being told that this cybersecurity incident was not hacking; it was something internal through AT&T." That is such bullshit on every level. And the bad thing is, we have such a short attention span as a U.S. population consuming media every few seconds, that by putting that out there, now it's been a week or whatever it's been.
It hasn't been a week. This was Thursday.
Or however many days it's been. What I'm getting at is it's off our radar again. Even though the following day after this attack on AT&T, our healthcare system gets a cyber attack. And there's a lot of this ransomware, and they're holding them hostage to take so many millions of dollars to put it back into play. I don't know if it's China, Russia, who knows where it's all coming from. But the bottom line is, if you're, I know that Ryan is not concerned about this. I am. The fact that Russia, China, and others, and particularly Russia and China, likely collaborating on being able to hack into almost any system that we have here in the United States, they're doing far more to learn how to invade our system and how to hack into all of our systems than what we're even dreaming of doing in terms of trying to prevent such from happening. We are behind the eight ball. And in my opinion, they can continue to do whatever they want, and we have no defense on it. Biden is not going to go after them for doing anything. When a Chinese spy balloon flies over our entire country, we shoot it down after it's already done its mission, and yet there's no repercussions post that flight. any of these cyber attacks. And to me, these are going on all the time. And we hear about some of them we don't hear about. This is nothing less when there's a serious cyber attack on our infrastructure, whether it be energy, our communications network, our military, whatever it may be. I would consider that an act of war. Ryan, am I getting a little too extreme?
I think you live your life to extreme, sir, when it has to deal with these issues. And then some other areas, you're just literally the plainest little boringest person in the world. But so I don't know. I think you need medical help.
I am genuinely concerned. I am making the prediction in the next 12 months, there will be a cyber attack that, let's say if we shut down all the cell phones for 3 or 4 days, you think, well, that we can live without that. We're fine.
I cannot.
Promise you that would devastate. Yes, you can.
No.
And it would devastate our economy. It would absolutely devastate our economy. Think about the populace out there, Ryan, including yourself, that would go insane not having that constant contact or having that phone accessible. And I'm not saying just a cell service, but let's knock out the internet with that. Basically, your phone is no longer functional. How long do you survive with that?
10 minutes.
Both of your phones, I want to qualify.
10 minutes. I would not make it.
And Ryan, I don't want to show a lady's age, but you grew up in a time where there was not a.
That is not true. You are so
I'm
crazy.
not talking about the suitcase size ones that you can carry around in your trunk of the car. No, I mean a real cell phone.
Some of us had cell phones from birth, sir. I mean, they may have been large.
You did not. You did not.
Hey, whatever you think there, big dog.
Well, there are many people out there that have they wouldn't even know how to function. I could not. My business would not function very well, obviously, without the use of that. And I'm not sure how we functioned prior to cell phones as effectively or as efficiently. But not just that. I really believe there would be a mental breakdown by a large portion of.
I am telling you, I will mentally break down. It will not work for me. It will not.
Oh, you would be fine. You could handle it. Lock yourself in your tower and just hope for the best.
No. It's a bad idea. Very bad idea.
Oh gosh.
I had Wi-Fi. I was fine.
I would be stressed out from a standpoint. I cannot communicate with clients, everything business related. Beyond that, it would not impact me.
Right.
I almost like a vacation. I love when I talk to you about a long flight, say if we were going to Thailand or somewhere. I love that. Even though there's Wi-Fi, I pretend there's not, that I can just disconnect from my phone for 18 hours. That's like the best vacation in the world.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So isn't that like inviting China to shut it down for a few days?
I don't know what you're talking about now, but so
I don't know.
Anyhow, you brought up the balloon. There's another balloon, or I think they took this balloon down, but there was another balloon.
No, I don't think they took it down. I think they just said it's a hobby
balloon.
It
flew out of U.S. airspace. That's right.
Hobby balloon. There you go.
And it flew out of U.S. airspace.
Wouldn't you think if it's a hobby balloon that the U.S. intelligence could find out for sure if it is or is not a hobby balloon? Wouldn't you think they have those capabilities?
Yep. What is a hobby balloon?
I don't know what to think of that. I don't know that either. I don't believe it to be a weather balloon, or they would call it a weather balloon. And I don't believe weather balloons are 50 foot tall. I just don't know. I am unaware, and I can't imagine you can let a 50-foot tall hobby balloon go in our airspace without concern of air traffic having issues with it. It just does not add up on many levels. I do not understand.
Me neither. I'm very confused. But more balloons. So Dale's very unhappy. They did not explain the balloon properly to him. So
yes,
that was a problem.
I am unhappy.
Of course, Dale did not even know there was a balloon until I sent him a message. So, it's okay. I have
been very busy with sales season.
Right.
Very busy.
Yes, we're very well aware. There was a primary. Did you know that?
I did. I heard a little this morning about it, and I saw it on Fox News this morning.
No.
Some results and some discussion over it, I should say.
This was Saturday.
Go ahead. Give us the results.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yes, I'm saying they were talking a little more in detail about it.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't.
Do you know what percent of the vote?
No, I do not.
Do you know what percent of the vote Joe Biden got?
Oh, no, I have no idea.
96%. It's pretty good. I don't think the turnout was real high, but it was pretty good. There was a pundit that brought up that Trump received four out of 10 voters. I'm going to put it in different words. 4 out of 10 Republican voters did not support Trump. And that in South Carolina itself, he was bringing up as a concern. I think in other states, it's considerably higher than that. But I think there was some concern that Trump has to win over some of the Nikki Haley voters to be as strong as he needs to be in the general election. I'm not saying that they were not saying that Nikki Haley voters are going to go vote for somebody else. They just may not come out to vote. Hence, I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, he did not mention Nikki Haley in his
No, he did not.
Speech.
No. But he didn't bash her.
And it appears as though that's what I'm saying. I think he's trying to not offend her supporters.
Yeah.
I think he's making an effort to. I'm not saying they're going to jump on ship with him, but at this point, he's not trying to offend them. I'm afraid he probably already has, maybe to a level they aren't coming back, but
I hate to tell y'all people.
I hope not. I hope
he won by 60% in the state she was governor twice. That's pretty damn good. But anyway, I don't want to talk.
He did not win by 60%.
He won 60% of the vote. He won 60%
yes, he did not
of the vote.
win by 60%.
Oh,
yes,
whatever.
that is not winning by 60%.
He won
It's a big
60% of the vote. Sorry. Anyway.
He got 65% of the vote.
Anyway.
We've got to work with you on statistics.
Can I finish my statement?
Next.
So she doesn't come out for like 3, like they call it, the polls close 6 o'clock my time. 6:01, they call Trump the winner. He, like 6:03, he's giving an acceptance speech. It's like 9 o'clock before she comes out. And she starts talking, and I actually texted, I was like, oh, I think this woman is actually going to quit. And then she didn't. And there was this weird, long, very awkward pause in the middle of her speech. Like, I'm firmly convinced she went out there to give a different speech and changed her tune in the middle. But the big point of my story is when she gets done speaking, everybody agrees with me that the speech was weird and it had mixed messaging, and they all now think she's going to run as the no labels candidate for president.
And what do you think?
I don't care because I don't think it matters.
It does matter. I don't know how you don't look at the detail. It does matter. We don't need an independent that's going to take any of the vote away from Trump. None. We do not need that. It is going to, I promise you, if Biden is not the candidate, it's going to be so difficult to win it. We need every single vote we can get, period.
I'm not saying it's not going to be difficult to win it, but I'm just telling you whether she runs or not. What they're putting out is that her theory is that 70% of the country wants a choice other than Trump or Biden for president. My question is, where's the 70% coming from? Because they've got to be made up in the Republican and Democrats, because there's not 70% of independents, or we would not have political parties, sir.
I agree. I am not arguing any of those things. I remember seeing
Republicans and Democrats.
I don't remember.
They're going to come. Not every Republican's going to come home, but they're going to come home before the general. Not every Democrat is going to vote for Biden or whoever, but most of them are going to. So this whole theory that 70% want a different choice and therefore she can be president if she runs as a third party, she's a moron.
She is not going to be elected president with that theory. I'm not saying that. I remember that poll, and I don't remember how they worded it, but I believe it was worded a little different, that 70% of the voting population would prefer to not have a Trump-Biden ticket. So that doesn't mean they don't like both of those. I don't know what it means. Yes, I think that, and maybe there is. I don't know, but I'm with you. When it comes down to it, they're going to vote whatever their party affiliation is, more than likely. But my fear, my point is, you would assume that Kennedy obviously will be in the general, taking votes away from, I think, more Biden votes than Trump votes, but I think some of both. But I believe if Nikki was in there, even if she were to take 2, 3, 4% of the vote, if that's all she received, if that's probably coming from Trump, that becomes an issue. That the country is so divided, so close to 50-50, that any percent is going to make a difference. And I fear that happening.
Well,
so I wish you would call Nikki and talk to her, Ryan.
I'm not
calling her. This
her.
is not good for our country.
I don't think she likes me. I'm just going to be real honest. I used to like her. Now I don't at all. But I'm just going to tell you my theory, and you're not going to like it. And that's fine. If Nikki wants to run with RFK and, Biden and whoever, here's the thing. I go back and I say this and I say this and I say this, and you never listen. But anyway, it's fine. You don't have to listen to me. I think this election, more than anything else, even if Biden's not on the thing, if it's Gavin or somebody else, this is going to be a very disenfranchised election. People aren't going to be happy no matter what, all this other stuff. It is going to be about momentum. No one has more momentum in terms of people that if it is negative 37 degrees, they will walk through the snow, whatever, than Trump. Those people, the Trumpers, are going to go and they are going to vote regardless.
I agree.
I don't see any other candidate having that. That is my theory.
No, I see. And they solve it through mail-in voting and making it as easy as possible to vote, that you have to put nothing out there to do it. Because of that, it takes some of that advantage away. But I agree with you that Trump base will do anything to vote. The problem is, I think it becomes neutralized because of the mail-in factor, that it requires no effort on the Democrat side if they choose to mail the vote in. But yes, and I do think there is another side, not as large of a number, but I think the anti-Trumpers are probably equally as motivated, but there isn't as many of them.
There you go.
Anti-Trumpers to vote against him or for Biden, I guess you could say. I don't think anybody's voting for Biden. I think everybody voting for Biden is voting against Trump. How could anybody at this point vote in good conscience for Biden because he's a good president?
There's been calls to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove him from office. I don't think it's going to happen, but
and then we have camel toe. Where I don't know that we've gained any ground. I have no idea. It's just bad and more bad. All of the above. I do have something. Since you appear to be a patriot today, can we say that?
Huh?
Are you feeling very patriotic, Ryan?
Sure.
Well, I will be attending the Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show to help some clients down there. It is near the border. You tell me this. You're aware of where it is, correct?
My mother was Miss Rio Grande Valley Stock Show cover girl. I know where the damn show is. You are the one that doesn't know where the show is or when it was because you thought it was 2 months ago.
That is why I reached out to you. We have the logistics all worked out. So I will be at the goat show one day. I have our Border Patrol friend the next day that's going to take me down to the border. And I would like to formally on this podcast invite you to come along. I do believe it's your civic duty.
And I have told you there is no way in hell I am going. Period.
Do you not care about this country?
I'm not going to the border.
You owe this to our listeners.
No, you're going. Go right ahead. Have fun.
Why would you not want to go and just see it for yourself? Why?
I have seen the border, Dale, many times. I've walked across the border.
All the problems
I have walked across the border to Mexico.
Well.
I've seen it. There is nothing I can do for the border. Nothing. Trump and Biden are going there Thursday.
Bring more.
Trump and Biden are going there Thursday. Both. It will all be fixed by the time that you even get to go.
My. I'm going to leave the invitation open just in case you change your mind.
I'm not going. I'm just telling you. I'm not going.
Do you have any more current events?
No, I have none. I don't.
What about some BTRJLA news?
Okay. We're going to do the top 10, current top 10 in the National Hogs. First place, Audrey Collins of California. Second place, Roxanne Coates of Arizona. Third place, Maddie Coates of Arizona. Fourth place, Peyton Davis of Arizona. Fifth place, Weston Knowles of Arizona. Sixth place, Paisley Bardwell of Arizona. Seventh place, Waylon Bardwell of Arizona. Eighth place, Mason Trump. He might be related to Trump. Buckeye, Arizona. Ninth place, Adel Simpson, Arizona. And 10th place, Santos Oliveras. I'm sorry about your last name, Santos.
Just apologize, Jep. Just apologize.
I just did. Of Arizona.
Doesn't this seem a little odd to you?
Arizona has a lot of shows in January and February. A lot.
Yes, they do. It appears that way. And have you looked across species? Is this similar
It's
in the other
this way
species
every
or just
year.
in this one? Okay, that is pretty deep in Arizona. You were breaking up, so I did not hear all of them. But everyone I heard was Arizona. Was there something? All but one. Got it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. I appreciate Arizona being out there and getting active early in the game.
Yeah. So there you go. And I do not have a sponsor for PTRJLA because I've read Old Wood Limited's and Showman's app the past couple of weeks. I guess I could read them again, but I don't have them up. And my other sponsor is getting me new sponsor material. So basically, I need sponsors for the BTRJLA. So y'all hit me up.
Call Ryan. He is waiting by his phone. Please call, sponsor. That Ryan, I get a lot, and everybody knows I do not put in any effort relative to what you do for this organization, especially when you and I get to see the awards when the people that are receiving them text me pictures of them saying thank you to me, and in all reality that is all Ryan. But man, they're so excited about the awards that you've put together, and it's good. So sponsors. He needs them, period. The awards do not exist without sponsors. It's that simple. And I forget the number of awards, Ryan, you send out, but it is staggering, mm-hmm. and it does cost a great deal. With that, I have a sponsor that I forgot to read early last time, but I did not forget this time. ShowFresh H2O is made in America and backed by science with proven results. You all know what I think about hydration. If you want to bust your butt all year and not take that extra step, that pays back multi-fold just before you go in the ring, then fine. Don't reach out and grab some ShowFresh H2O. Don't give it a try. Hydration is key across species. You can purchase ShowFresh H2O at your local farm store, Show Supply Trailer, and at swampfox.com. I had one other sponsor, Ryan, reach out to us from the past, I believe from maybe a year ago or so. And I guess the reason was sales season on the goats has begun in full swing. And Stephen Popejoy, I'm meeting him on a regular basis to haul goats from here on I-80 out west. And Popejoy Livestock Transportation is once again contributing to the Beyond the Ring podcast. We appreciate your sponsorship. Stephen does a professional job and is willing to give back to the Junior Livestock Association through this sponsorship. Once again, his routes are 80 north from Indiana to California, coming back the southern route. I work with many haulers, and I think there's many good haulers out there, and there's some that maybe aren't so much. Put some effort into doing some research. It's your choice. There are many choices out there. Consider Stephen next time you have a show animal that you purchase online needing to get from point A to B. Thank you, Stephen. Main topic, Ryan. Mm-hmm. The true product of livestock shows.
Yes.
Please don't tell me you're the true product. Please don't tell me that.
Well, I am a product of it, so.
You are. You are the product.
I don't know about the, but I am a product.
I think there's so many things, but please lead us into it. And I think we could go on for a very long time on this one.
Well, you can go. You never told me which direction you really wanted to go here, sir. So I'm not sure.
I think this is very easy. I would be.
Anyway,
I can summarize it in 4 words.
Oh, okay. Then you go right ahead.
Raising better human beings.
Well, that's what I figured, but you're really weird sometimes, and you gave me whatever. So
no, that is simple to me. I mean, you could summarize it as that, and then qualify how we're doing our best. We hope as an industry to raise better human beings.
Well, I think that there's no doubt that the reason that people, I guess I should back up here. So I think that one of the cool things is that, like, if you go back and the vast majority of people that show livestock, it's normally a thing that goes back generations and generations and generations and decades, etc. within that family. And like, you can talk to kids that are showing now and they can tell you a story that they've heard about their great-grandfather showing an animal somewhere, all this other stuff. And so I think that's kind of the proof that obviously this is doing a good job raising better young people, raising better human beings, however way you want to put it, because for generations and generations and generations, families have constantly stayed in this. So they've seen what it's done for their kids and the kids before them and their parents and all this other stuff, and that's why they stay there. I think that always has fascinated me because I'm kind of an oddity. Neither one of my parents showed. So the fact that there are all these other people that have this huge history that goes back, however long, is so cool to me. And I think that is just absolute proof that something very right is going on here.
I would agree. It would be interesting to know just where those percentages fall, but I'm with you. I think it's those junior exhibitors showing right now. I'm going to say a fairly high percentage of those had parents that showed, but I really, that's just a guess.
Well, I don't think there's a guess at all. I mean, I don't think there's many that didn't have some family member or someone close to them. If they didn't have a family member, that's how they got started in here. I mean, I would say it's
I would agree. I'm not saying necessarily their parent. My parents did not show either. Did my older siblings show? Yes. And people all around us? Yes. And I think it's just there's somebody connected fairly close to that family that has been involved in the show industry that with that being said, not necessarily just a parent, but that's where it's all coming from, either the parent or somebody that's close to the family. I don't think somebody just out of the blue is going to decide, okay, I live in downtown Chicago. I'm going to move to the suburbs or into the country so my kids can show livestock, and they've never even heard of it, obviously.
That's kind of the point I was getting at.
What do you think if we go out and listen to all the Grand Drive speeches that people make across the country? What is the number one thing that most of them are talking about? Are they addressing just how good the animals are, or are they addressing the activity that we're talking about right here, raising better human beings?
Well, I think that most of them are talking about what we're talking about, what it does for them outside the show ring and how it will be beneficial to them long after their show careers are over. And that's kind of the take-home note and what the majority of those Grand Drive speeches are about a lot of the times. And I think it's very valid. And I think it's true. I spend a lot of time talking about it. I'm sure you do when you give your Grand Drive speeches at the shows that you go to. And I hear it an awful lot. And I think it's very true and very correct. I think that, and I've said this, I don't remember if it was last week or some week, but the thing that I have always, another kind of fascinating part of this is what each child or each exhibitor benefits the most out of this deal varies from kid to kid. It's not always the same. And I think that's one of the coolest parts is that there's what you truly get out of this is very individual to the experience and to the exhibitor. And that's not something that you can find in every extracurricular activity or hobby or sport and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's very important. I think that goes back to the fact that now more than ever, and I preach this a lot, is this is one of the few things that still stresses and emphasizes and awards and appreciates individual success. And I think that is a big deal and part of it that makes it special.
I would agree, and I want to quantify one thing because it's. I'm going to talk about this, and as we move into this, and you're talking about how much they're getting out of it. I agree exactly, and I'm pretty sure I know what direction you're going with it. Sometimes when we think about the junior livestock industry and the success of a showman or that family, we indirectly or automatically, maybe is a better word, not to misspeak there, think about how many banners they've hung, how many national shows they've won, et cetera, or they won their county fair, whatever it may be. But I think when you say, or I'm going to make a statement that I think these individuals and even family members, but specifically those junior exhibitors in this individual sport, obviously they have family support, team support, whether it's extension, ag, teachers, other relatives, whatever it may be, are going to have their back and help guide them and jump in and help them with this particular project. But the more time that junior exhibitor puts forth, the more serious they take it, the more detail-oriented everything, the more, the better, they will receive more on the other end. And I'm not saying necessarily they're going to win more banners. When I say they're going to receive more, they're going to put themselves in a better position in terms of work ethic, responsibility, everything that it takes to be a successful adult. And I guess to me, that is the end result, the end product that I'm talking about in terms of what they're getting back. Now, without the drive or without the incentive to win that banner, then all those efforts may not put forth. So that is all part of it. I think the fact that we're going to work as hard as we can and put in unthinkable hours into that particular project and basically make that your priority for that show season or that summer, to go out and try to do the best you can at those shows. Well, you're going out, the exhibitors, I don't think young kids are thinking about, well, this is going to make me a better adult. I think they're thinking about the more effort I put in, the more success I'm going to have at the show. I'm going to place higher. I may win that show, or I'm chasing that banner. That's great. That gives them something to chase. But on the backside, all the things that they're doing to get to that point, in my mind, is what is going to make them a more successful adult.
I've said it a lot at shows that I judge and continue to say, I can't guarantee that every single kid that enters arena is going to be named a grand champion inside this show ring. But if they will take the things that they've learned and use the connections and the contacts that they have met throughout this industry and throughout their junior show career, there's no doubt that they will know what it's like to be a grand champion in the game of life. And that's kind of the whole point of the whole deal for me.
Absolutely. And when you say that, it doesn't have to be in the game. It doesn't even, they no longer even have to be involved in the agriculture circle. It is just the game of life, whatever direction they go. I cannot imagine how fostering more responsibility, work ethic, connections, everything you can put together that comes with the activity or the what's involved in showing livestock, how can it not benefit, period, no matter what direction they go? It's going to. Will it maybe benefit them more if they stay in the animal industry or the agriculture industry because of some of the connections they made? Sure. But there's a whole lot in addition to that is going to do that. And as an employer, when I'm trying to bring in employees, Ryan, I can't imagine there's ever been a worse time in our country in terms of the entitlement that most of the people out there feel and the lack there of work ethic. And I'm not saying there aren't some really good ones, but I'm afraid that percentage of really good ones continues to drop. And I can assure you, if I'm looking at somebody as an employee and they've come through a system like this, that's going to put a real positive spin in my head or give me an idea that, wow, they understand that work maybe doesn't stop at 5 if you've got a cow calving or whatever it may be. Because I just fear in general in our country, we've become very, very soft. And I don't believe the younger generation that is now going into the workforce, the expectations I would have as an employer, I'm sure are high. I'm sure it's more difficult than most. But I also think those people entering the workforce right now, in general, across our population, they do not believe that they should have to work very hard to earn that paycheck. And that's a problem.
I cannot believe you would say that about the people in this country. That's just terrible.
No, but I shouldn't.
Just awful.
Entitled is what I call them. Entitled. Entitled is where I'm at. So there's so many things that we could go on and talk about. And I guess there's one that I wanted to bring up specifically. But think about, and Ryan, I've heard you talk about it, I guess, many times. I don't remember if it's on here or in our private conversations, but we're busy. There's kids that are involved in a lot of activities, a lot of sports, in addition to showing livestock and other things. There's more choices now, and I think there's more involvement across the board by young people in various activities than there's ever been in the past. To the extent, my fear is, when they're that involved in that many activities, that they may not do any of them maybe as well as what I think would benefit them. And again, I could be very wrong. Maybe all that exposure is a really good thing. But there are choices out there for parents to make, whether they're going to put them in a soccer league or a volleyball or whatever it may be, or show livestock. Some will try to do it all. It's hard to do it all and do it very, very well. But I think as an industry, we need to understand that if we don't continue to do better and continue to improve and foster the good in this industry and try to continue that, the choices that are going to be made by parents to allow their children to do other things may bite us right in the butt. And there are so many choices out there. And I'm going to be the first one to say, I don't think there's another activity that's going to be as all-encompassing on making or fostering better human beings than the junior livestock industry. But there are other activities that do foster a competitive nature, work ethic, responsibility, those things. Not as well, but there are other choices out there. And if we don't continue to put our best foot forward, I think it's going to creep up and get us. And I think we saw that a little bit during COVID. And when we came back from COVID, some of those same families weren't there. I visited with a couple families that maybe all they were showing at is their county fair and maybe one local jackpot show. But even that kept them at home and somewhat committed because they're there every day to have to feed, et cetera, unless they can bring somebody in. Well, during COVID, maybe they chose to go to Florida because Mr. Ron had the state open or whatever it is. There's a lot of other things families can spend their time doing other than showing livestock. And I hope this activity stays true, stays strong, that this is still the number one choice.
I don't think there's any doubt. And this has been brought up. It seems like we're doing this episode over again for some reason, and like Groundhog Day. I know we haven't, but it seems like we're talking about.
We've talked about all of these things, maybe just not at one time.
And so anyway, but you're talking about that there are other choices and there are other things to do. And I know I've stated, if not on here just recently, but before, and this is a hard choice. This is not easy. And what makes it beautiful and what makes it the best also makes it the most difficult, because when you send your kid to football practice or sports practice or I don't know, debate or whatever, all those other UIL practices, you don't get to go with them. I mean, I'm sure there are people are, but I don't think the football coach likes you standing there on the sidelines screaming at the kid and telling him what to do. You don't get to do those things.
Now, some will do it. It just doesn't end real well. But they will go.
But you don't get to go to those practices. So what makes it beautiful is you do this as a family inside the barn together. But that also makes it the hard thing, because not only does it require the kids and the parents, but it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Now, trust me, I know. But in the long run, that is the beauty of the situation, is that it is the activity, the sport or the hobby where you and your family members, or you and your parents, or you and grandparents or close family members, whatever, you're all doing it together. You were at every single practice. That's the time you spend in the barn every single day, feeding, washing, doing all those things. And you can't do that anywhere. And so it makes it more difficult for everyone because everybody's got to be there. But that's also kind of the thing that makes it greater than anything else.
No, and that is absolute, Ryan. And I get to talk to a lot of parents, and it seems like during sales season that's all I'm doing is on the phone, visiting with sometimes the younger exhibitors, sometimes their parents, maybe an older brother, or whoever's in charge of acquiring or trying to locate that show prospect. And I will get calls from some parents that maybe they've they've been showing livestock for many years, and they asked me the question. I assume it's because of this podcast and some of those things, but they're a little bit negative, I guess, on some of the things that are going on within the industry. And instead of trying to change some of that or fight back against it, they're choosing to, their kids may not be showing livestock, or they're making a choice that maybe it isn't. I want to encourage all of the listeners out there. Ryan and I are going to be the very first ones to tell you there's bad apples in this industry. It is not perfect. And there is no perfect sport, industry, junior activity, anything. There's going to be issues in everything that you do. Can we speak out? And we've talked about this before, and get people talking about some of the issues to make it better. And hopefully that ground level discussion really, really drives that. Absolutely. We're going to continue to do that. But parents, you can also make a choice. Ryan, think about that family being in the barn or who you're working with. And when I say family, not necessarily blood related, but Ryan, think about the time you spend with Callie. You call her your sister. I do not believe genetically you're related, but she's part of your family because of this industry. I understand. I agree. But what I'm getting at when I refer to family, those that are helping you in your show family, maybe is a better way to qualify that. As parents, you have a choice on who you're going to allow into that show family. And if you continue to put good people in there that are good role models, I think your kids are going to continue to benefit, even if there's something going on down the way that you don't approve of. That influence by those that are working with them every single day is going to be pretty important. And parents, another thing, and Ryan and I have both stated this, we need the drive, competitive nature in these juniors to encourage them to bust their butt on every level to go win that banner or to win that show. And because of all of those efforts, just as stated earlier, that's where they're developing all the skills that will help them later in life. But remember, if we're taking shortcuts or we're doing things to maybe win a banner that doesn't involve that, then the goal becomes winning the banner. And great, it advertises well, maybe post well on social media, but that's not helping your young person become a more successful adult. Maybe even the opposite at certain times. So keep those things in check. I think we have to continue. And Ryan and I are the most competitive people in the world. You have to go into everything that we're going to do the best we possibly can, whether that goal is to win a class at a county fair or win Houston next week. Whatever that may be, you've got to put forth your best effort and as much time and effort as you can to get to that in order to foster those good life skills. So think about that. I know there's bad apples out there, but you have the choice. You determine where you're buying that animal, whether it's a breeder, a broker, what team you're going to put around those young people. And those young people are going to gravitate to whatever type of person that is that's in that show family. Even if there's a bad influence down the road, it isn't. I don't think you should worry as much about that as the immediate people that are working with them. And Ryan, you've probably had the widest variety through our personal conversations of people that were helping you or in that show family, basically in your barn, from some of the best influences to possibly some of the worst. Could you agree with that? Not to throw anybody under the bus.
No. Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Where are you going with this?
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
No, I mean, I have.
But you chose to, I mean, you were able to make choices. You didn't, if there was somebody in there that wasn't the best influence, you were strong enough for whatever reason, you gravitated towards the good.
Well, I mean, I am just, this isn't, I think your point that you're making is you have to be very cautious who you put your kids around. And I agree with that completely. I'm going to be real honest. My parents weren't very cautious. I think you're off track here. Mine weren't.
No, that's what I'm bringing out. There were some that weren't, but I also believe there were some really good ones that you had.
Oh, there was. And I mean,
maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. What I'm saying, you experienced it all of them.
Oh yeah. I mean,
from the worst to the best.
Oh yeah. And just not to get,
do it without throwing you directly under.
Not to get too personal, but I mean, you brought it up. So like, here we are. I had the worst and the best. There's no doubt. And while I chose one path and one way, my brother didn't. And he died of drug and alcohol abuse because of it. So let's just, I mean,
no, that's real. That just is. And why you chose one direction.
Right. And the example, here's the example. If you want to talk about how much it should matter on who you put your kids around, I can use that as a story that I don't think any family wants to be through. But it's the truth. And it doesn't matter if it's livestock shows or, there's people bad in every industry, like in every sport, like Dale said, but you've just got to be that careful, because while I was able to see the bad and the good and chose not to fall down that path, my brother did, and he died very early because of it. And so it is real, and it is out there, and it's not just in stock shows, it's in everything. You can get caught up with the wrong kind of people in Little League. And so be very, very cautious about it and try to make those decisions. And one thing that I would advise is it is never too late to take another direction. I think so many times I see or I hear people afterwards like, we got into this with XYZ and we just felt like if we went somewhere else and tried to start over again that late in the season, then we were just shooting ourselves in the foot, etc. My advice is if whether it is you think the people that you're currently around are not good influences on your kids, or you think that other people are getting preferential treatment, then you're not. Any of these things, if you're not 100% at peace with your situation and the people that you are doing this with, change. I'm telling you right now, change. And you will be happier. Your kids will be happier. Everyone will be happier. Because like Dale has kind of said, winning the banners is cool and that's fun. And that's what we all do. And I do it to this day. And I hate losing. I have said that on here. I will continue to say that. It also, there is so much other that you can gain out of this and that I have gained out of it, but that is way bigger than a banner. You have to do it with the right people and you have to be happy about it. And if you lose a banner or two along the way, that's part of it. But make sure that you are satisfied and happy with the people that you share this experience with, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on a big part of it, and a big part that makes it very, very special. And so there's that side of it, and probably way too personal account of that side.
That, Ryan, that is so well explained. So well explained.
It just,
I just,
my deal is, and I'm not patting myself on the back at all, because this is as big a character flaw as it is yay for me or whatever. Just no one's going to tell me what to do. It's just not in me. It just isn't. And I truly think that's probably the biggest reason why I didn't end up like Randy, because I'm just not going. Trying to influence me is almost impossible. And
no, I would like to second that.
And so, but not every kid is like that. So be very, very careful, very, very cautious, and make sure you're doing it with the right people and the people that care about your kids as much as you do.
And parents, I think if you look at it, let's have that banner chasing in the mind of those junior exhibitors that, wow, I'm gonna get there, and let that encourage them to work so hard. But you remember the life skills and becoming better adults is being fostered through this. And I promise you, as parents, if you just stop and think about it, I'm building life skills, allowing the banner to be the bait for those children to work that much harder to achieve. But go back to the basics. Are these the people that I want to be around if I'm trying to make a better human being? Not necessarily, strictly, are they going to get me to that banner? Hopefully you can do both, and you can. But make sure that you're making wise choices. Parents, and this is going to be taken all wrong, Ryan, and we're going to get hate mail. You're going to get it with me because you're going to agree with me afterwards. If you were showing livestock like we talked about, and for some reason you didn't have a mentor or as much guidance or the financial well-being to go out and purchase an animal that you could be successful with for whatever reason, maybe you didn't win those banners. I see it all the time, that now you're living that life through your children and not necessarily thinking about making them better human beings, but chasing that banner that eluded you. And that's not the best approach. Let's continue to have our children in this industry and continue to try to win and be as competitive as we can. But let's do it with the fact in mind that we're trying to make better adults.
Well, I think that there is unfortunately some of those. And I want to stress once again that this is in any industry. Maybe you weren't the quarterback of your high school football team, but your son has been.
Absolutely.
And all this other stuff. So I have been involved in pageantry for a very long time, and I have seen firsthand, mama never won the crown, but by God, daughter is going to.
I could only bet it's more extreme in that one than anything else.
And so, yes, what Dale is saying, that part is out there. And it just is what it is. And it's unfortunate, and it doesn't have to be. So, yeah, pay attention to that. But we know it's there. And you know, I think the biggest frustration that I hear, and I take this a lot of different ways, but the biggest frustration I hear from parents, and like people will just come up and say, nobody works harder than my kid, and so won, and they never do anything, and all this other stuff. And I think a lot of times people think that the people that have more resources to devote to this or have more people helping them, all this other stuff, that maybe that is the situation that Dale is describing, is it is a parent living vicariously through their kid, all this other stuff. And I'm not saying that can't be true, but two things that I want to bring up here. No one spent more resources on a kid in livestock exhibition than my parents did on me, probably, that I am aware of. And nobody wanted to win more. Nobody lived in the barn more. Nobody did all of those things. And you can ask the people that even hated me back then. I lived in the barn. The fitters that worked for me that hate me to this day will even say that I lived in the barn. My parents would have to call at 10:30 at night and say, you have to bring him home. So that's not always the case. And then the other thing is, nobody works harder than my kid, and so didn't do anything. I think you're right. You probably, in your eyes, no one works harder than your kid, and your kid probably works their ass off. There is no doubt. I'm not questioning any of that. The other thing I want to tell people is, you don't know what goes on in anybody else's barn. And we don't. We have no idea. We can think, we can do all these other things, but we don't know what goes on in anybody else's barn. And so while we need every kid to work hard to learn these things that's going to make them the better human being, don't ever, so many people read books by their cover. And I can go, I hate to use me as an example because I really don't like talking about me. And if anybody knows me very well knows that, but when I did the judging team, everybody thought I was some rich, entitled, dumb kid that just won a lot. I am man enough to say, and I knew even then, a lot of times my reason scores were as high as they were, yes, was I very good at it? Absolutely. But they were also so damn shocked that I had a clue that they're like, oh, he's not some dumb rich kid, that I got extra points. And so my point is we read books by their cover too much, I guess is where I'm getting at. So just because you think something about another family or whatever may not be that case. Focus on your kid, your family, and your projects and try to block out the rest.
Very, very well stated. Very well stated. And I hear the same thing. So-and-so won and my kid works harder. All of those. And I get that. And I think they're upset because they did not get that banner that day. What that parent is missing, if your child did work that hard, guess what? Those lifelong benefits are they're there. They're there, and you're missing the big picture. And again, we all want to win. We all want to get that banner. Maybe your child should have won or whatever it may be, but just stop and take a deep breath. If they work that hard, you are setting them up for success in life. And I wish, I really want the listeners out there, particularly the parents, to remember that as a parent should be your goal, and I think is your goal as long as we're on the right path. Go after every banner. Have your children go after it. You do whatever you can, helping them to provide them the tools, the support so they can win that. But remember, if they get all the way to Houston Stock Show and Rodeo and they end up maybe getting left out there in division, not hitting Grand or Reserve, which most people are going to be thrilled to even get out there, but you didn't get that big one. In the game of life, it would have been great. We would have loved to have that banner. But that effort that went in to get to that point, and I promise you in any species to get to that point at that show is going to take quite a bit. They've developed so much that are going to help them later. Don't look at it like, gosh, we just failed. No, it is all of that time and all of that effort and the work ethics, the responsibilities, all of those things that are being developed to try to win is what is going to allow them to succeed later in life. And Ryan says it in every speech so eloquently sometimes. But I think this is good. I hope the listeners receive this episode is and take it to heart a little bit. And I think we all take it for granted, but I can promise you there are times, and I'll use myself as an example, that if we're working really hard and we've selected a specific goat or steer or heifer or whatever it may be for a given show that we thought, well, this is going to work. This is our goal. This is our target. And we bust our butt as a family to get to that point and try to succeed by winning that particular show at whatever level. And it doesn't happen. I will be the first one to just, I feel like we just didn't get it done. This was a lot of effort for not being able to win this. And I've got to step back and just think, what did my children gain by going through that process? And it's immense. I can promise you. Ryan, do you have any final words to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I mean, reiterate what Dale said and sum it up. I think and I believe with everything in me, and you would not keep the kind of schedule that I keep or do these kind of things that I do if I didn't believe in this industry and these kids and these families as much as I do and have the passion for it. But kind of the take home things for me, and this is more like repeating and summarizing, but it is one of the few things that is going to teach individual success and make you strive for that. Is going to give you all the tools that you need necessary to succeed in whatever sets your heart on fire. And I think Dale mentioned it earlier. It may not be anything in the agricultural industry or the show industry, but if you'll take the things that you learn from here and apply it to what you're passionate about, you will be a success. You will know what it's like to be a grand champion. And probably most importantly is Dale talked about that, since COVID and Rona, maybe our numbers haven't come 100% back. And I agree with that because I hear it at almost every county fair, especially at the county fairs that I judge. But here's the one thing. If you're questioning, you're having doubts, you're doing all of those things, maybe it's not worth it. I want you to sit there and think for just a couple minutes. What else can I do where I can spend this much time with my kid. And if you can think of something else and y'all are all interested in it, then get with it. But I don't think you'll find anything where you can spend that much time with your kid, with your wife, husband, other children, extended family, show family. Do this as a family unit, and kids get as much out of it, and the parents get just as much. If you can figure something else out that's easier, cheaper, and more gratifying, then get with it. But I don't think you will.
I could not agree more. Absolutely. Thank you, Ryan, for sharing a lot of that. And I think not only for the parents, but hopefully some of the junior exhibitors can take something from this and get a better understanding of, wow, the effort they're putting in is going to help you. I promise it will. I know maybe it's hard to see it at the age that a lot of these junior exhibitors are, but you will reflect back at some point and think, that activity was maybe one of the best things I could have ever done. And we support this 100%. Ryan, do you have a question and answer sponsor today?
Yes, I do. Hold on one second. Let me find it. Here it is. And for the fourth week, we would like to thank Infinite Health Labs for being the question and answer sponsor of the Beyond the Ring podcast. Infinite Health Labs is located in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and they are dedicated to total wellness and creating effective holistic healthcare products for humans and animals alike. Their newest product is Orange Power. If you have a finicky show project, now is the time to start using Orange Power. It is designed to stimulate appetite quickly and will add a touch of bloom for that desired show ring look. All of their products are available at www.infinitehealthlabs.com. So thank you, Justin. Thank you, Infinite Health Labs, for sponsoring the question and answer this past month.
Greatly, greatly appreciated. The first question comes from Joy. Love the podcast. Dale and Ryan. Let's just go. Let's change it. Ryan, where do you think the trend will be this year in the market hog and show goat ring?
I don't know if there's going to be a
I
new
just
trend.
say, what kind of animals are you going to? I think we're just referring that as ever changing, but where I guess you can only speak for yourself. I'm happy to talk about it. I probably better not explain where I would like the market hog trend to be, because I don't think anybody's going to listen, nor will it happen. But you are outsorting both more than most.
We didn't know that they were going to have to be like show steer hairy a couple of years ago, so now they are. But I think it's very hard to predict what the next new trend is, and I get that question asked a lot, and I shy away from it because, number one, I don't like being wrong, and number two, I'm going to use the hair on hogs. If you would have ever told me, this is the next trend, I probably would have laughed in your face, and yet here it is. So I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know what the next trend is. We had that series about each species. We had the trending series a couple months ago. Maybe it was summer. I don't remember. But we had a 4-part deal on trends in each of the species. And so I'm going to stick by that for now. And I think we asked our guest at the end what was the next one, and they kind of were all like me. We're not sure, but we're ready for it, and hopefully it will continue to be positive.
I want to qualify that just a little bit, and I get this question asked all the time, and we've addressed it that if there's no real tie to the real world or commercial world, the trend can go any direction that show judges and or influential breeders or anybody that has influence in that species decides to take it. And that just is what it is. So it is a difficult thing to predict. I think that if we step back and say, wow, we've seen a lot, it's come full circle in the pig thing many times. There's been a lot of changes in the type of cattle or sheep, and even now in the goats. And the goats are obviously much younger as a show species, haven't had as much history. But there is one thing, and Ryan, it isn't a trend for him. It's always there, and it is with me as well. But I think there's one thing that we will always come back to, or very seldom stray too far for too long, and we do stray too far. But just fundamental skeletal build and that animal's ability to move from point A to B in that show ring. I can't imagine that if you keep that part in mind and then try to build all the extras around it, maybe you'll be closer than not. But that is my opinion. Maybe that is my hope, that across species that we try to make these animals just a little bit easier moving, a little sound around their feet and legs. And Lord knows that when we chase certain trends and we breed for those one or two extreme traits, that sometimes that skeleton is the first thing that goes backwards. So we've got to keep those kind of things in mind, especially as a person that's out there searching for that young pig or goat or sheep or whatever it is. If their skeleton isn't right at a pretty young age, there are some things, Ryan, would you say that is one thing that I'm not saying you can't make minor adjustments, but there's no magic wand to correct it. So be careful with that. We can put on muscle in a pig with beta agonists or a lamb or goat with exercise. We can do things to change other things. But if we have an animal that's bucked over in its front knee, we can try to trim those feet. We can try to put them in sand. We can do a lot of things. But more times than not, Ryan, what's that animal going to be like when it's older?
It's not going to become unbucked over. So
not very often anyway.
I guess this is why, for what Dale is describing and several other reasons why my priorities are the way they are when I sort. I have said a lot of times on the microphone, I can feed a lot of things legally to make more muscle. I can do other things to make one more attractive. There's nothing that you can do to really fix structural correctness. And that's why it's kind of always been my biggest priority, because that's the one thing that you can't manipulate. And so if you can't manipulate it and you can't fix it or change it really, then it's the hardest to make in that animal well. And so it probably should be a priority. That's how I have always looked at it. And so I agree completely. I would like for that to be the hottest trend in every species from ever on. But we just did the EST podcast a couple of weeks ago. And I think I said on there, when was the last time you heard someone say, the soundest one wins the class? And I probably had more people snap me, text me, talk to me, whatever. And it's like, that's the truest thing. That's the best thing you've ever said on the podcast, is that doesn't happen. And so there you go.
Good answer. Nathan gives us the next question. Thank you for all you guys do to educate the junior livestock world. My question is, what are your thoughts of breeders leasing breeding females to junior exhibitors? I think we've had, I don't know if this question, but we have this as a topic already. I don't remember. I know we've addressed it in some manner.
I think we've had it as a topic, and we've had it as a question. This is very controversial. And so first I want to say it's not going to stop, because there are lots of benefits to exhibitors and breeders by leasing them. And the breeder gets the animal back. The exhibitor doesn't have to pay as much. There's a lot of people that don't want, to fair out pigs or have a herd of cows or all this other stuff. And so it's not going to change. I personally we bought all of our stuff. And so I can, I know people that lease. I'm not against it, but we bought all of our stuff. So I have mixed emotions, but it's not going to change. And it's kind of like some of these other things. We want stuff to change. I don't see that ever not being a part of this industry. And so when there are things that you absolutely cannot change, you might as well embrace it.
Perfectly stated. And again, does it maybe go against some of the rules of true ownership on those animals.
Yeah, I didn't say it was completely legal. I just said you're not going to change it.
No. But at the same time, I'm sure they're transferring ownership. So
oh yeah,
that
they
makes
have
it
to.
legal.
Yeah, I mean, they have to.
So I guess you can look at it that they buy the animal when they're done showing. The breeder buy. I mean, there's so many. Ryan's statement is exactly correct. It's going to continue. We personally do not lease out animals. We only keep enough donors or prospect does back that they're going to be donors, and prefer not to let something of that value go out and maybe not flush well and so forth. So we don't not do it because we're morally necessarily against it, even though you can make a case either way. We keep very few of our females back, and the ones we do keep back, we have to put on a program to prepare them to flush as best they possibly can at a very young age to continue to get to that next generation. So there's a lot of breeders out there that do lease, some that don't lease, and there's a lot of reasons that some do and do not lease animals. But Nathan, it's going to continue. I see a lot of advantages of it. I from a breeder's perspective, if I were leasing animals, I would question why anybody would come and buy a female if they could lease it that much cheaper. So I don't know. If I'm leasing out my best ones and selling the bottom 75% or whatever it is, it seems crazy as a family to come buy one of those when we're going to lease somebody in my county or my state's going to lease the better one from them for a lesser price. So it's hard for me from a business model perspective, but it's not something we even question because we don't even let our children show the ones that we're going to flush. So that doesn't apply here, but very well stated on Ryan's answer. Sam, I know we've had this question, Ryan, and you're going to have to answer it because it's always you. My schedule is always free. You two are the best and brighten my every Friday. I think he's talking about you. How can I get you two scheduled to sort a 2-ring 4-species jackpot? I have no idea when this is or where this is or anything, Ryan. But you're the limiting factor. I am always available to sort shows.
See, Dale says this, and then yet he doesn't ever want. Every time somebody asks him, he has something else going on. Not another show, but something else going on. But I will say again, easiest way to contact me is through text message. My number is out there on my Facebook, this Facebook, the website, all the things. So that's the easiest way to contact me about dates.
Yes, reach out, and I don't like to do this, but I would be misleading the public if I didn't say that I do enjoy sorting when Ryan's in the next ring. It's entertaining, it's fun, and you can be assured that different animals are going to win every time.
That's the truth.
Very seldom are going to be on the same page. It doesn't matter what species. But anyway, no. So Sam, yeah, reach out. If it's physically possible, I enjoy doing it, and Ryan's right. I am not able to take as many shows as I would like to because of other commitments here at home. But I do enjoy going out there, and particularly if Ryan and I can go both and do that same type of show together. So with that, thank you for listening. I hope this episode is well received. I can assure you that we gave you exactly what we see, the good and the bad, and there is no question in my mind, and I think I can speak for Ryan, there are a lot of different choices parents can make on what direction their children or what other activities are involved in, but this is still the best activity, and with a little bit of parental guidance and thought put into it, it's going to make your children better human beings. With that said, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?